Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm going to be baking ricotta cookies today, and just want to make sure my sound's working all right. We have contractors outside the house today, so it might be a little bit loud in the background, but we'll find out. So I'll just do a quick introduction. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley. I have been writing about food and recipes on Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen since like 2006, I think. Hey, Jennifer and Sharon. So my website's bigflavorstinyKitchen.com, and you can find me on social media at Big Flavors. On Twitter is at Big Flavors Blog, and this is one of the most popular recipes on my website. Oh yes, I did say cookies, Sharon. I made these ricotta cookies for my Italian in-laws. I'm not Italian. My husband's family is. I pass for Italian, and I made these one year for his cousin's Christmas party. Like, she makes a ton of food every year. There's maybe like 10 of us there, and they don't need more food. So I asked, what can I bring? And she said I could bring a dessert. So I went bold and I made an Italian dessert, and she loved it. And she's like, every year, I don't care what you do, you have to make these cookies. So every year, make a big tin for her. These ones actually, I'll make it again next week for Christmas, but these ones will be going to, most of them will be going to my son's holiday party at school tomorrow. So, a couple quick notes. Let me look at my calendar really quick. I usually go live on Fridays, but I have family in town this Friday. So this week, it's Monday. Next week will be Friday the 28th. I'm not sure yet what I'll make. The following week, I'm going to go live on Monday, January 2nd instead of Friday, because I will have more family in town. So, hi, Nicole. So it'll just be a little easier for me to manage, like, not entertaining people while I'm doing this and having, like, random people walk into my kitchen. Well, random to you, not random to me. I don't have random people in my house, but okay. So this recipe is really simple. I'm going to get started just because I want to be able to have some of them cool so I can show you how to ice them before, before I'm on for like an hour or whatever. So very simple recipe. It makes about 7 dozen cookies if you use one of these little dealies. It's a cookie scoop. If you look on the inner rim here, there's a number. So I use the number 50, and I forget what the equivalent is, like how many teaspoons, but I put one in my Amazon shop. It's the link is in the description, but it's Amazon.com/shop/bigflavors. My headphones picked this moment today. Oh no! You can watch cookies if you can't hear me yapping. That's fine, Rob. Hi, Sandy. Okay, so with this, and depending how much dough you eat, which I'm not condoning. I'm sure it's not, raw eggs are not safe, but I live on the edge. I eat a little bit. So I'm going to preheat the oven to 350. My microwave is a convection oven also, so I put the racks in there. And again, I apologize if you hear hammer gun, like nail guns and stuff. That's contractors outside. They're doing the siding. So, all right, we're going to line 2 baking sheets with silicone baking mats or parchment paper. I like using the silicone baking mats because they're reusable. So they just, if you haven't seen them, they just look like this. I put a 2-pack in my Amazon shop because it's easier. I mean, I usually use 2 if I'm using them, but I keep them stored with layers of paper towel in between them. I have extras that I just kind of roll up and tuck away in one of my drawers. I have the most fun life. Sure, contractors and cookies and whatnot. So basically putting this on your baking sheet, this is a half sheet pan. People often refer to this as a sheet pan, but this is really a half sheet pan. In a restaurant, like a regular sheet pan, most people at home don't have room for it, but it's like this big. So this is a half sheet pan. Lining it with this helps so that the cookies don't stick to the pan, and then you don't have like burnt on bits that you have to scrape off, and it helps them cook evenly. Like the bottoms, when you lift them up, should be nice and evenly baked. So I'm just going to line these. Drop your favorite holiday cookie in the comments. I would love to see. I just bought a silicone baking mat. Funny story about it too. Do tell, unless it's mildly inappropriate, and then tell me later. Okay, so oven's preheated to 350. In the bowl of the stand mixer, or you can use a large bowl and an electric, hand mixer. If you're using a stand mixer, I like to use this one. It's the paddle attachment. So we're going to beat together the sugar and butter on low speed until it's combined. So 2 cups of white sugar. That's granulated sugar. My son would call it regular sugar. There's certain words that I just don't want to correct him because it's cute how he says them now. But if he makes it to teenage years and is still saying regular, I might fix that. I actually just had to change on my newsletter at the bottom. I put a quote, a food-related quote from him for every month because he says some really funny stuff, and I had to change it from saying my 6-year-old to my 7-year-old for my last newsletter, and I was like, it's going by pretty quickly. I mean, some days feel like forever, but I can't believe he's already 7. So 2 cups of sugar, and we're going to do a cup of butter that's softened. Unsalted butter. And actually, I'll edit the recipe to say that because I usually bake with unsalted butter unless the recipe specifies to use salted. Just make a note so I remember to change that later. I took this out the butter out when I woke up this morning, and I stuck it on on top of I have an espresso machine right here. And I had a bowl here, and I just stuck it like that under the lights to kind of speed up the process for you guys. But hi, Trina. I read on Dessert for Two's website, on her Instagram yesterday, that she has a trick where you fill up a glass with hot water, really hot water, and then you invert it. So you would invert the glass on top of the butter and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and apparently that does the trick too. I didn't want to try it right before going live to make cookies because then what if it didn't work? It would be disappointing. But so that's another trick. All right, so we're gonna lower this and lock it on low speed until combined, and then we'll increase it to high after it's combined, and then beat it until it's light and fluffy. So I can see right now. Show you. It's not really getting the sugar and stuff. It's just kind of still separated, so I'm going to scrape it just to kind of combine the things a little bit better. And then once it's in a better place, then I'll turn up the speed. Okay, so now, just to give you a visual, because I know you can't see into my bowl, but you can see that the sugar and the butter is kind of fluffy and together. Hi, Kevin and Amy. Where do you store your stand mixer? Okay, so yes, you can see I have very limited space. Where my stand mixer usually lives is like this. I have a bunch of appliances here, but behind my dish strainer back here, my food processor, in this back corner, I have this little cover that I stick over it, and then I just tuck it back in the corner back there. I don't use it super often, but it definitely gets a lot of use, especially around the holidays and birthdays. I like the butter softening tip for dessert to shoot Instagram and to follow. Yeah, hi Tina. Definitely follow her. She's got some really cool stuff. I actually did some cookies of hers for a cookie swap for my supper club, where you make, it's like a round sugar cookie, and you make royal icing, which I don't do very often. Light royal icing on the cookie, and then you use black gel icing to draw little lines, and then mini M&Ms to look like Christmas lights or holiday lights, and they're really, really cute. They look like they're very festive. If you go on her Instagram or her website, you'll see them. And then this year she did a new one. I don't know if it's the same recipe, but she decorated little Christmas tree like swirly kind of brushstroke green, and they're very cute. Her stuff is delicious. Her banana sheet cake is like ridiculous. Okay, sugar and butter are light and fluffy. I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference really, but just to kind of light and fluffy. All right. Oh, about 5 minutes. I didn't do that long enough. All right, so while this is going, I have a couple notes for you guys. I have 2 variations on this recipe that are on my website. One I shot last year and it's not up yet, but if there's interest, I will try to get it posted soon. I have a peppermint variation, a lemon variation. Those ones are both up. And then there's an orange one that I did. They're all really good. The citrus works really well with the ricotta. So basically, just to give you kind of a quick overview, with the peppermint ones, you add 2 teaspoons of peppermint extract to the batter. And then in the icing, you add a half a teaspoon of the extract with the icing, and then you sprinkle crushed candy canes over. Those ones are best, like, if you decorate them the day you're gonna, like, give them or serve them, because the candy canes will kind of, like, bleed into the icing a little bit, and it looks less pretty, and they can feel a little soggy. The lemon ones, I put in a teaspoon of lemon zest and a teaspoon of lemon extract into the batter, and then in the icing, I do a half a teaspoon of lemon zest and a quarter teaspoon of extract. Oh, this is looking better now. And then the orange ones, I do 2 teaspoons of the zest, because the zest isn't quite as strong as like a lemon zest, and a teaspoon of extract in the batter or dough. I guess it's cookie dough and cake batter. I don't know the technical difference between those two, but what was the butter softening tip? She says you take a glass, fill it with really hot water, and then you take your stick of butter, and then you put this on top of it and let it sit for like 5 minutes. And apparently that softens it. I just don't want to risk it for today. I'll try it sometime and report back. You love my apron. Thank you. I got it custom made. I found this someone in Croton that would do one embroidery thing for me. So pretty excited. I didn't want to do the iron-on decal because I was afraid it was gonna just not hold up to washing, because you know I'm gonna get cookie dough all over this thing. I'm gonna need to wash it. All right. So now, if you look at the batter, it's like, oop, flip that upside down. It's like really light and creamy. So that's what we're looking for. All right. I don't usually pull it apart so many times, but I know you guys don't have a great angle on it and you need to know what to look for. It just kind of like coats the outside of the bowl. So scrape the edges and the bottom with a rubber spatula and stir gently. I'm sorry, this is going to keep beeping because it's ready until I put them in. I don't know if you can hear it, but I like to really make sure you scrape the bottom, because sometimes in the very bottom of the bowl, some of the sugar or butter kind of sits down there and doesn't get incorporated, and then that can lead to patches of your cookies that like the butter oozes out, or they don't bake evenly, or, I mean, they're still delicious, but. So, okay, scrape the sides. So we're gonna add 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. I like to use whole milk ricotta because it's the holidays. It's delicious. You could use tart skim if you wanted to. I don't know that I have done that with this, but I'm sure it would still work. So this, I'm going to make these again next week. This is 32 ounces, so I need just under half, but I figured for precision's sake, I'm going to use my scale. If you don't have a kitchen scale, it's a very good investment. They don't cost very much. I mean, you can get expensive ones, but mine's not expensive. And mine, we had to like put little felts on the bottom because it's old. It's very old, but basically you turn it on and then it'll have numbers on there. You can put a bowl on. Mine switches between grams and ounces. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the bowl on my scale, And right now it's telling me how much the bowl weighs. So there's a button called Tare, T-A-R-E, and you just press it and it zeroes it out. So now it says 0, and if I take this off, it says minus 15.8 ounces. So I know how much my bowl weighs if I need to know that for any reason. So I'm going to do 15 ounces. And ricotta is delicious by itself. Oh my gosh. So if you make this twice and you have the 32 ounce, you can eat 2 ounces and you won't be using it. I'm going to pop this back in the fridge. All right. So I'm going to add, turn this off, ricotta, vanilla, and eggs, and beat on medium until it's combined. So 15 ounces of ricotta, 2 eggs. I know some people talk about having your eggs at room temperature when you're baking. I did today just because I thought about it, but you don't have to. It's not like key to this recipe. And I know I've talked about this before, but I always crack an egg into something else beforehand, just not only in case you get a shell in there, but if you get a rotten egg, it's the grossest thing you can imagine. And then you didn't ruin all of your batter and have to start over. So 2 eggs. Vanilla. So 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm using, this is just my favorite one, but Penzeys double strength vanilla, and I'm not using, by Sharon, I'm not using half the amount, even though it's double strength. I still use whatever the amount calls for. Same with like tomato paste, there's the tubes that are double strength concentrate. I still use the same amount as whatever it calls for. Okay. So, ricotta, vanilla, and eggs, and beat on medium speed until combined. If you're using a stand mixer, a KitchenAid one at least, they go up to 10, so you want it like around a 5. It combines pretty fast. And then show you again. You can see it's getting nice and fluffy. Scrape again the edges and the bottom with a spatula to make sure that everything's being combined. Alright, so next, flour, baking powder, and salt. So we need 4 cups of flour. And I like to use the scoop and sweep method when I'm measuring flour, usually, so that it doesn't pack the flour too tight. If you take your measuring cup and you dunk it in and push it against the edge of the container, you're compressing the flour, so you're going to end up with more flour than you might want. So I like to take a scoop, you can use a spoon, whatever. These are messy, you'll get flour and icing kind of everywhere. So, they say 4 cups. So I scoop it, I kind of overfill it, and then just scrape it even. So 1. I've done this with my son before and we lost count, and so, well, does it look like he did 4 cups? I don't know. But I've never butchered them too much. Actually, I'm going to talk about the one thing that you can do that will mess these up. And luckily, / unluckily, last year I went to a cookie swap at the Feed. I don't know if you follow them. They're based in Brooklyn, at least the one out here is, and they have some like local events, and they did a holiday cookie swap with a bunch of people, and I brought these. Yeah, I could weigh the flour. I've never looked to see how much flour that ends up being, but I could. If you want to experiment with it, let me know how much it weighs. So I used baking powder, baked all 7 dozen of the cookies. I feel like I started icing them and I tasted one and I realized that I had bad baking powder. Now, when you buy baking powder, it doesn't seem like it should matter. Look for one that says aluminum free. A lot of baking powders contain aluminum, and while it may seem like not a huge deal, or it might seem like a huge deal to you, if it's either old or it's been sitting for a little while, the aluminum can cause a really weird reaction in your mouth when you eat the whatever baked good, especially if it's something that has a lot, like this has 2 tablespoons of baking powder. It can feel like sour, makes your tongue feel like it's drying up, and my husband says it's like making soap in your mouth. It's really, really, really bad, and you'll have wasted your time faking something that didn't end up working out. I can't even explain how gross it is, and it's happened a few times, and I didn't realize at first what was causing it, and then I did a little research online, and I found out that it was baking powder that had aluminum in it. So I have this in here. I just like to keep it in a different container. So be wary. There's only a couple brands that I've found that are aluminum free. Rumford is one of them. There's a couple brands, but just if it doesn't say aluminum free, assume that it has aluminum in it, and avoid it at all costs. It doesn't cost more to not have aluminum either. It's not like it's more expensive or anything. So, okay. I have ricotta vanilla and I included that. Flour, baking powder, and salt. We need a teaspoon of salt. I'm using iodized salt, the kind of fine grain stuff. And again, I always pour that over the sink in case it overpours, then you're not going to end up with salty dough. So start it on low because you're going to get like a dust cloud of flour. So you just do it on low until a dough forms. So you can see now it's starting to hold together. So I'm going to just scrape one more time at the bottom and the sides. Do it just a tiny bit more. And then we're going to put them onto the baking sheets that have been prepared with the silicone baking mat. There's other brands too, not just Silpat, but I feel like Silpat's the most common one. I'm going to do 12 on each baking sheet. It doesn't seem like you're going to get so many cookies out of this dough, but really it's about 7 dozen based on, depending on the size of your scoop. You could use just like a regular teaspoon or something. Just keep an eye if you make them bigger or smaller. You want to watch the cooking time to make sure they don't get too cooked. I had somebody ask me online earlier if I have any tips if you're working with an electric oven, because she said her cookies were baking really unevenly. Not this recipe, but just in general. What you can do is take your trays. So these ones bake for 13 to 16 minutes. So they normally go in like this, 2 rows. You would want to take them out after halfway. Take each tray, rotate it 180 degrees, and then the one that was on the bottom, put it on the top. And the one that was on the top, put it on the bottom. I'm going to, just for the purpose of today, since these take a little while in the oven, I'm going to do just 1 dozen first so that I can get them in the oven and cooling afterwards so that I can show you how to ice them. So So I just scoop with the scoop and I pull it against the edge of the stand mixer bowl to kind of flatten it to make sure they're all the same size. And this is a great recipe to have your kids help with if you have kids. I've enlisted the neighbor kids before. They're fun to decorate too. It's really easy. It's just a really quick mixture and a sprinkling of sprinkles. You're going to find sprinkles in your house for a while after. So I'm going to go ahead and put these ones in I'm going to set it for 13 minutes and just see how it looks. While I make the other ones, or dish out the other ones. I guess I'll show you up close how it looks when you scoop them. See if there's any questions. If you measure out the X cups of flour and weigh it the next time, you can just put that bowl on the scale. That is true. Maybe I'll do that when I make them on, when I make them for Christmas. Wow, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll make myself a note to try to remember that. Yeah, so what Rob is saying is, if you take your scale, you have your dough minus the flour, you put your bowl on your scale, zero it out, and then you put in your 4 cups how we did it, and see what it says, how much that weighed. That would be, I know weighing is really important with baking too. If it's a recipe that I am making, I don't usually do that by default. So when you take your dough, you just kind of scoop some, and then you flatten it against the edge there to get, you could even that out if we really wanted to get like a flat piece there. What kind of recipe do you guys want to see next week? Sweet or savory? I feel like there's always really a big debate between like the desserts and the appetizers. Last week I did buffalo chickpea dip. That lasted like not very long in my house. I feel like on Facebook, my fans go more toward the sweet stuff, and on Instagram they vote more toward the savory. And I tend to put out like a poll on both Facebook and Instagram, and whichever one got more votes, that's the one that I make. So sometimes, like this one, it looked like, the one last week, it looked like the Chai Spice Snickerdoodles would have won, but the buffalo chickpea dip got many more votes on Instagram. So, all right. So this one's ready once the oven is heated. Don't see any more questions right now. Unsalted butter, extract. All right, so I'm gonna get ready for like when I ice. I know I've told you guys before that I tend to not use many paper towels anymore. I try to use reusable, but for something like this, I like to use paper towels on my counter because actually maybe I'll move this so that you'll be able to see. I put the cookies on a cooling rack to let them cool. If you put the icing on when they're still warm, it'll like kind of melt off and it won't hold up as well. Like it'll just run off and it won't do a great job. So I put a paper towel, like a couple paper towels down, and then I put a baking cooling rack right on top of it. And then I'll put the cookies on here, let them cool, and then when I mix up the icing, I'll just do it right on here. And I'll sprinkle sprinkles on also, so everything kind of gets caught for the most part on the paper towel, and then you just fold it up. And kind of looks like a Jackson Pollock painting when you look at the what's left on the paper towels. As far as sprinkles for these cookies, I like using, I don't know if I'll pronounce this right, nonpareils? The little like tiny ball type sprinkles. You can use the larger, like kind of dash looking sprinkles, but if you're keeping them for more than a day, I find those can get a little soggy. You could use sanding sugar. There's a lot of different things that you could use. Did I have any notes on? There was an orange creamsicle smoothie. I could make that one next week. Optionally boozy, my friend Kate recommended that, Katie. The chai spice snickerdoodle cookies I could do. You could look on my website and let me know if you see something on there that seems fairly easy, like as far as doing live. Like, I don't want to have a chicken roasting in the oven for, 45 minutes and sit here during that, because that's kind of the one thing about doing them live. It's a little bit of waiting time. So, got that ready. I can show you how to make the icing while these are cooking. Even though, again, I would normally wait until they've cooled off for a lot longer. So 2 cups of powdered sugar and 4 tablespoons of milk, plus then more if you need it. So and in case anybody is confused by the term confectioner sugar and powdered sugar, that's the same thing. So if you see a recipe that calls for confectionery sugar or confectioner sugar, it's just powdered sugar. This I don't really, since you kind of thin it out by eye, I don't really care about the scooping and sweeping necessarily. But 2 cups of this. And these are fun too, like if you're doing them, like I do them sometimes for Easter or birthday parties, and you can kind of like do whatever color you like on the sprinkles, like if you have a theme going for a party. And like I said, kids really like decorating these. They are very light and fluffy. I know many people who've made these, and I've frozen them before icing, like let them cool completely, and then freeze, and then you can thaw them and then ice them after they're finished thawing. I haven't tried icing them and freezing them iced, but I'm going to give it a try with this batch. I'm going to take out, I'll take out a couple and try that, because I had somebody ask me, like QC, see how well they hold up. These are great as gifts. I usually put them in, hi Kristen. I usually put them in like either little gift bags or tins, and if I'm doing a tin, I'll line the bottom either with tissue paper or sometimes a paper towel, just to kind of give it, a base so it's not sitting in there, and it kind of gives it a little bit of padding. If it gets jostled, it'll kind of help. So 2 cups of powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons of milk, and then more if needed. Just grabbing my milk out of the fridge. Oh, I know last week or the week before I was telling you guys that this brand of milk I use, their soy milk and their whole milk look exactly the same, pretty much. So I started writing, because my son and my husband are lactose intolerant. Because if you're just looking at this quickly, like, they look exactly the same, and that would be a bad mistake to mix those up if you have tummy issues from it. So you're just whisking these together until it's smooth. You could sift it if you wanted it to be like very, very smooth. I don't find that it really matters that much. But so there's 4 tablespoons. My husband teases me that I like this little whisk. But so you just whisk that together. And then you can tell if it feels a little too thin, which I think this might. You can add a little more powdered sugar. If it feels a little thick, add a little bit more milk. But so it's just kind of like a little drizzly icing. I might put a little more powdered sugar in this, because I think it's going to be a little bit. And then I also, a lot of times, end up making more icing, because I kind of, not that I'm sloppy with it, but I like to use a little spoon and just kind of let it pool over each of the cookies, and sometimes that uses more icing than what I've prepared. So that 3.5 minutes on those. All right. I haven't tried these like chocolate, but I wonder if you added some cocoa powder, if that would be good. You could even change the icing. I guess you could do like a chocolate type of icing with different colors. Let's see. Did I miss any of your questions? Kitchen scale is a must, yes. There's a lot of like nicer ones, and I like this one I've had for quite a long time. It's a scally. And they have ones that do a lot more complex things. We also use it for things like when we make coffee, or when we're like calibrating our coffee maker on our espresso machine and figuring out, we have a burr grinder that you can set it to grind different coarsenesses for your coffee beans, because you need a different grain for espresso versus coffee, and you can do like math with when you're pulling a shot of espresso and you have it on a scale, like you see. I don't know all the technicals, I'd have to look it up again, but it's it's nice to have that so you know precisely if it's working the right way. That's one way to kind of start making better coffee in your house. I think mine's a Taylor. Yeah, I know there's a lot of nice ones that are like kind of clear, like a little kind of glass pedestal looking situation, but yeah. Oh, another tip I'll share with you guys, not for these cookies, but for like cutout cookies, like the ones that I made on the first live that I did, my grandma's ones. My friend Diana likes to use, we have a lot of the same kitchen gear. Actually, she's got a website that's really good, The Kitchen Prep. She's got a lot of really great recipes. I met her on a farm tour with Stonyfield a few years ago, and it turns out she lives in Florida, but she knows a bunch of people that I know here because her husband somehow is connected with people out here. So this is this OXO spatula. It's really super thin, so it's good for like delicate things like cookies. But what she does cutout cookies, when the dough is on the counter, she cuts the shapes out, and then she uses this to go underneath and lift them out. Because you know sometimes when you roll, if you don't flour it enough, they might stick. So that I thought was a good tip. And Dessert for Two, the site that I mentioned earlier, she does the Christmas lights cookies. She does something similar, but she uses an offset spatula like this. You can use this for like icing things. She does the same thing, but she just kind of scoops it underneath there to kind of loosen the cookies and then picks them up. Either would work. Like I said, for the icing of these, I tend to use just like a little itty bitty spoon. Alright, these are about done. Hopefully, I have to check them and see if they look cooked enough. So what you're looking for is, you want them to be very lightly golden. So you're not looking for like brown, which if they're a little brown, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But hi, Laura. Do you say Lara or Lara? I'm curious. I'm always, you know, sometimes people, when you see their names online for a long time, you're like, what if I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time? Alright, so these look good to me. They're ever so slightly, I don't know if you can see the tops of them. Some of them are getting like the tiniest bit of brown. So I'm going to put these other ones in since I gotta make so many cookies today, but those are for 13 minutes also. So you'll take these, put them on your cooling rack, go under it with this little spatula, and you can see, I'll show you the bottom of one of these. So, see, it's nice and even. The speckle look is just from the light. It's just like nice and evenly light golden brown. So you put them on here to cool off. And normally I would get them all baked, let them sit for a while I go about my day, and then I'd come back later to ice them. I just didn't want to sit here for a long time waiting for them with you guys, since this is a live one. but I think this one does a better job of showing you how it's like, see just little bits of golden on there. These cookies are so pillowy and fluffy too. They're just like, they're always a hit. Unless you make them with the wrong kind of baking powder, in which case they're terrible. Alright, so just checking over here. Alright. This is hot, so this is not going to work super well, but I'm going to ice it just to show you. Let's see how this goes. It's going to likely just kind of roll right off, but all you would do is you take a little spoon of it and then drizzle it on top, and I kind of spread it a little bit. Just kind of a little pool on the top. You could also turn it upside down and dunk it. I'll do one like that in a minute too. While the icing is still wet, put your sprinkles on so that it looks like that. Light over here. So that's one method. The other, you could take them. I feel like you use more icing if you do it this way. So you take the rounded top edge of the cookie down, just kind of stick it in there, shake it around, and then let the extra drip off. And then it's iced like that. I mean, this works as well. It just, I think it takes a little longer. What I usually do is I take my spoon and I just kind of ice maybe 6 or 8 at a time, and then I go in and I do my sprinkles on those. So there it is, and I'll show you the inside of it. Well, let's see if I can do a good cookie break for you. They're really hot, so they're like a little bit tricky, but you can see it almost looks like a biscuit in there. Look how fluffy it is. So these are my ricotta cookies. The recipe link is in the description. Let me know if you have any questions. If you make them, I would love to see them. Tag me on social media at Big Flavors, or on Twitter at Big Flavors Blog. And you can do hashtag Cook Big Flavors. If you post them on social media and you want me to see them, I would love to see them. We can all sit and wait 2 hours watching Cookies Cool, right? Yeah, I'll just sit here and drink my coffee and make more coffee because I'm almost out. But I hope everybody has a great week. Great Christmas if you celebrate. I will be back on, let's see, next Friday, the 28th. I had craziness ensue, so I wasn't able to get the second part of my gift guide written post up, but that will be up today or tomorrow. If you're looking for other good holiday cookie recipes, ricotta cookies, my Grandma Helen's sugar cookie, the rollout ones, I also did a video on that a few weeks ago. There's a whole section on my YouTube channel of just Facebook Live things that I've done videos like this for. And chai spiced snickerdoodle cookies or just regular snickerdoodle cookies. The double chocolate buttermilk cookies are delicious. I actually made another variation with white chocolate chips in with all the other chocolate and sea salt. Those are really good. Ricotta cheesecake is always great. Tons of suggestions. If you're stuck trying to plan your menu, let me know. And have a great, I was going to say weekend. It's only Monday. Have a great week, everybody.